Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Yeah, I Built Mechanicer, and I feel that it's a good time to do a holiday episode of sorts. I'm not actually going to be showing you how to do anything today, least of all driving safe. But even here in Minnesota, it doesn't seem like we're going to get a whole lot of snow, or at least the dangerous type where it gets wet and soggy and then freezes over. But nonetheless, have a winter survival kit or an emergency kit in your car that should include cat litter, a candle, fire source, blankets, warm clothes, reading material, road flares, flashlights, condoms. Basically anything that would be helpful to you when you're out on the snow. Oh, and one tip that I've heard recently from a couple of people is buying oversized socks, so you can slip over your boots and have traction on ice or snow or something like that, which totally makes sense. So, having tried that a couple times, it does work. Gives you a little bit of extra traction, especially if you're trying to push a car out of the snow or ditch. So that's one. I keep a jump pack in the back of my car that I got from Harbor Freight for like $50. And for those of you that aren't really car savvy or don't spend a whole lot of time in hardware stores, Harbor Freight's kind of an outlet for generally lower quality goods. But, well, I'll say cheaper goods. Cheaply made? I don't know. It's kind of hit or miss. Some things that you get from there are just fantastic, and I've had for 10 or more years. And don't really seem to be willing to die anytime soon, like a lot of my wrench sets and sockets. Actually, I've had this socket set I've got from there. I bought about 4 or 5 years ago, and I used my 17mm the most, and I just snapped it 3 days ago. Yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, back on the subject. Make sure your car is ready for winter. It doesn't matter how good of a driver you think you are, your safety on the road really depends on the attentiveness of those around you, more so than yourself. You can be as observant if you want to, but if somebody's tweeting while doing their makeup and trying to read a book or whatever that people do that cause car accidents, well, don't do that. So, it doesn't take a whole lot of black ice, or even a great spot of it, to take your car off a course. I have an all-wheel drive Subaru with snow tires, so my shit doesn't go anywhere that I don't want it to. Oh, tires. Yeah, I don't have one with me. Well, I have this tire pressure gauge, which is always good to have. On the inside of your driver's door, on most every car in America now, or everywhere, there's a cold tire pressure information placard, which tells you at what temperature your shit should be at every tire. And sometimes the front will be different than the rear. It can be different, it can be the same. Just look at that, because a common misconception is that the proper pressure to inflate their tires is on the side of the tire, which is incorrect. That's the maximum pressure that the tire can handle at speed, or something like that, or however that goes. But either way, that's the maximum inflation that I'd recommend on that, and that the manufacturer recommends. Say most tires are about 44 psi max. Most cars and trucks or what have you won't run anything close to that. But yeah, on the inside of your driver's door, there's a placard usually that tells you what temperature to inflate your tires at. And there's a couple charts you can find online that'll tell you how much air pressure you lose for every for how cold it is versus ambient temp that it was set at, or something. Say, what is it? I think it's 80 degrees. You don't lose any density, but you lose about 1 psi of air pressure for every 10 degrees that it drops. So if it's 30 below and you had the tires mounted in a shop that runs constantly at, or let's say that's 0 degrees, and you mounted your tires at 60, you've lost 6 psi. Simple as that. For those of you with cars with TPMS systems, which is the little tire thing with the exclamation point, if you're wondering what that's about, it's probably that. And if it doesn't go away after a while from doing that, you should probably check your spare tire air pressure as well, or see a licensed or see a mechanic, whatever. Another thing about tires is making sure you have proper tread depth and inspecting them for damage. Winter blowouts suck, because not only most often I see this when I was living in St. Paul and working in Bloomington. I stopped for about 2 or 3 people a day going either back or forth from work to assist them having their car broken down, mostly just due to blowouts. So it helps to know the condition of your spare tire. If you don't have one, having an inflator kit really helps. It's better to be prepared for that sort of thing. And also, when you're inspecting your tires, you should also be checking tread depth, because when they get to about 330 seconds, that's about when I'd start to replace them. I've replaced mine at 530 seconds tread depth, which if you go to your local Napa, O'Reilly, AutoZone, Advance, whatever, then they'll show you how to use one most of the times. Well, O'Reilly will for sure, because that's what we do, is we focus on customer service. I can't speak for anyone else, but somebody should show you how to use one, and that should be your guide as to when you should need new tires. Yeah, so that's about all I got. So stay safe, and oh yeah, don't drive too fast on this, because like I said, black ice doesn't take more than a couple feet of it to throw you off track, especially in a turn. Yeah, I heard a good one recently. It was, I'd rather be going slower and wishing I could go faster than going faster and wishing I could have been going slower. I think that's the quote. I don't know where I heard it. Probably another Facebook thing. But yeah, stay safe and allot yourself a little more time for travel so you can get where you're going on time, especially to work. Because in Minnesota we have a thing called stupidity that is more so rampant among those that just forget how to drive in the winter, or if it's an inch of snow or even less, it could just be a small coating and they just drive slow as fuck. That's the Minnesota curse. But yeah, it'll be a great winter for all, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas and Hanukkah and Ramadan and winter solstice for you pagans, I guess. Yep, that's all I got. So Merry Christmas and God Jul, which is Norwegian for Merry Christmas. And subscribe, and I'll see you next time. And comment and shit. God, I can't even think today.